Happy 10th anniversary to Skyrim. Feels quite weird saying that, but 10 years, you know. It was one of those games that when it first came out, for many other people, I couldn't stop playing it. I played it on the PS3. That's what I had at the time. I didn't have like a good game computer, or didn't have a 360 or anything like that. But I had it on PS3, aka the worst version of the game. But I still played it. Still very much enjoyed playing the game. Watch other people play it and see their thoughts, and just kind of basically it's been kind of an interesting 10 years about how thoughts and opinions of the game have changed for myself mostly. And I'm not saying that I think the game's awful or anything now. It's just that I can't bring myself to really play the game. Again, it's kind of why, I generally, stream games and whatnot, but I thought about streaming Skyrim, but I just can't bring myself to really get the want to play it. Because there was a period of where I was playing it a lot, and it just came a point of where I was just like, you know what, I'm good. And I eventually just stopped. But yeah, it's one of those things for me. But yeah, the other thing is that the last 10 years of games for me has made me realize that, yeah, there's, for me, better stuff out there that interests me more. There's quite a few games that kind of opened up my eyes. I don't know if that's quite the right word or term, but yeah, it's one of those things, because I remember getting Skyrim, getting the disc, and one of the pamphlets in the game case was one for Dishonored, which I was like, oh, that game looks cool. Then eventually I watched like gameplay trailers and just trailers of the game in general. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm quite digging this. I didn't play it until 2013, around there. But because I know it came out in 2012, but when I played that game first time, I was like, this is quite cool. And then I just went into that game hard. And that kind of opened up a whole thing for me about really interesting, cool first-person games. In the vein of like BioShock and Get Dishonored and stuff like that. But at the time I was still playing Skyrim. I was still, enjoying it. Again, I played it on the PS3. There was the whole thing about the DLC coming for PS3 later because of whatever issues. But yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, just looking back at like the last 10 years since Skyrim released. Also, it's funny that Dark Souls came out 10 years ago, which at the time didn't really care for Dark Souls too much. Didn't care for the Souls thing, basically. Wasn't until Bloodborne for me that I got those games. Like, Bloodborne was the you're in thing kind of for me. So, and then after that, I played Dark Souls 3. I've played Dark Souls 1 a little bit. I've not really got a real good chance to go back and fully play it myself, but I've watched the game loads and loads of times. I played a little bit of Dark Souls 2. I have played Demon Souls. I have played the PS3 version. That was really fun. I really liked playing that game. Can't wait to play the remake. But yeah, so Skyrim. Yeah, it was just one of those things, like, leading up, got into the hype about it, and just waiting for that game to come out, and again, played it all, platinumed it, because it's not really that hard of a game to get that trophy, but anyway, so but yeah, again, it's one of those things that once I started kind of looking at Skyrim as a full package, basically, I really started to see a lot of things I was like, that's not really that great. It's good, there's still good stuff there, but it's not about saying the game's bad or anything, but there's just a lot there that doesn't really grip me to come back to it. But that doesn't mean that I don't see that, other people say it's their favorite game or how great it is, cool. It's awesome. But yeah, it's just one of those things for me. But I just think, that Skyrim is such a, however many re-releases we've had of the game. We're getting another, obviously, at the time of recording this. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I don't quite but I've always been an Elder Scrolls fan. Like, I personally can always go back, play Morrowind. I can always go back, play that. Oblivion, I can go back to. It's just, it kind of takes me a bit to kind of get going. And I did stream all of Oblivion, so, which was fun. Streaming both of those games was quite fun. And like I said, I was kind of thinking about doing a stream of Skyrim, but it just never quite materialized for me. It just never really piqued my interest. But yeah, so again, not saying that Skyrim is awful and anything like that, because again, like I said, it's definitely a good net positive kind of a game. Just after you play it and play it so many different ways, it just kind of gets like, it's just still Skyrim, even with mods, for me, because I know there's gameplay things, but I kind of like playing games as original to what they're supposed to be. Mods are cool. They have their place. It's just never really been my thing. Like I said, like the streams of Morrowind and Oblivion, those are just flat out just the normal games. But yeah, so the other part of I wanted to talk about with this video is that Skyrim was kind of a change for me, like the beginning of a change for me. Basically, post that, I've played some of my favorite games. First time since then. Basically, the last 10 years I played Final Fantasy VI, which I also streamed, but I played Final Fantasy VI for the first time and loved that. I've played, obviously, Dishonored 2, the Bioshock series, other Final Fantasy games. And there's other series that I got more into in the past 10 years, and that's the Kingdom Hearts series. I have a very weird way of how my pathway to games has been. I grew up, playing on like my cousin's Sega Genesis. Played a lot of Sonic 2 and 3. And friend would bring over his N64. We'd play some stuff on that. A lot of Shadows of the Empire. A few other things, but I really like Star Wars. Still do. But yeah, like my for the longest, for like a few years there for me, like biggest games for me were Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, which I also streamed. That was also way before I got my mic. I would like to stream it again, but trying to get that game streamable for whatever reason for me has been difficult. But I digress. But yeah, like for the longest time, that was Jedi Knight was kind of like I just played that game a lot, and I never got tired of it. But yeah, it's one of those things. So, I eventually got a PS2. Funnily enough, it was for a sports game because I like sports games. I wanted a sports game at the time, but it was a baseball thing. But funnily enough, it was a PS1 game. I didn't have a PS1 memory card, so yeah. But anyway, so I got the PS2. Got a few games. I remember getting in, really enjoying the Return of the King game, which I still have, and a few other things. But yeah, the Return of the King game was a really cool game. I remember my friend brought over Kingdom Hearts. Now, I remember very vividly where we were playing the game, or I was playing the game, and he just like took the controller away. I was like, sure, whatever, because I guess he just wanted to play. So, but and I'd watch him. We got all the way to Ursula in the game, and did not know how to do it. Also, again, remember this is back in like 2002, 2003. And yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I also watched them play, and I think he beat Kingdom Hearts 2. I think, but I never really had much personal interest in playing the games myself. I don't know. I was weird, I guess. I don't know. I was playing games like Battlefront 2, and Star Wars stuff. I was just, always like playing Star Wars games and whatnot. But yeah, that kind of just, my friend would kind of follow the Kingdom Hearts stuff and kind of always waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3. I was kind of like, it's whatever. kind of being mildly interested, but never really whatever. But yeah, but anyway, back to the last 10 years. I remember getting the 1.5 collection, and kind of same thing. I kind of watched him play, and he got all the way to the Maleficent fight this time, and that was interesting because he couldn't beat it. I kind of let it sit there for a while. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try playing this and be about beating the game myself. So basically, I picked up from there. I know, right? Like the Maleficent boss fight. That's a weird place to start playing a game, but whatever. Yeah, so that was that basically. That's what I did, and I grinded up to level 99 or 100. Yeah, and basically did all the stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play through this game again, from start to finish. And I did that. And I watched the movie stuff and basically got the 2.5 collection on PS3 and played those. I think the game that made me get really into the series though was Birth by Sleep. But basically, since then, the rest is history. I'm a big fan of the series and looking forward to whatever happens next. But yeah, that was just one thing, and getting more into Final Fantasy and more Japanese games, which is another thing, like with the Soulsborne games, where once I finally got a PS4, I was like, Bloodborne is going to be a game that, because I had already watched a whole full playthrough of the game, but only ever played it a little bit on my friend's PS4, because I didn't get a PS4 till 2016, so with Dishonored 2, funnily enough. But yeah, Bloodborne is a game I love, and a game I can play a lot. But yeah, it's yeah, I've also played Persona 5 and Ni no Kuni. Ni no Kuni is another game that I instantly, because I remember I did a free trial on PlayStation Now, and Ni no Kuni was one of the games that was on there, and I was like, I've heard good things about this, I'll play it. And I remember really liking it, but it was a free trial, so I didn't have much time to do it. But eventually they announced the remaster, and I was just like, well, I got to play that because I remember really liking the game, so I did that and loved it. Loved the whole thing. The other series I got really into was Nier. I remember a lot of people being super excited about Nier Automata when it got announced. But I was like, sweet. I don't know anything about the game, but sweet. The only thing I remember was seeing Yoko Taro. And I was like, well, that guy needs all the success, basically. But yeah, so I'm basically, just as I said, throughout this past decade, being able to really look into games and just games in general. There's been good, there's been good stuff. There's been some not so good stuff. Trends, good trends, not so good trends. That's kind of the norm. But but yeah, it's been kind of a weird 10 years since Skyrim, which, again, I enjoy, but not quite as much as I enjoyed at the time. So, but still, I still recognize it that it is a game that needs to be, looked at and like that is good. So, but yeah, and still waiting on Elder Scrolls 6, which I'll be honest, I'm not supremely hyped for, because there's personally no real reason to be at the moment. It has nothing to do with it being like Xbox console exclusive or anything. It's just there's no real reason to be interested about the game personally. Yes, it is Elder Scrolls, but I think also just I've been thinking recently, like, how big of a fan am I really of the Elder Scrolls games? I love the Elder Scrolls universe. I love all that stuff. I love all the lore and insanity that goes on in the Elder Scrolls. But like as games, I love Morrowind. I understand people's complaints and issues with the game, but I understand that. It's one of those things of knowing the game. It's not that hard, really. But that's kind of one of the things. Is the learning curve of Morrowind is, it's a thing. So, in a way, it's kind of like how, for the longest time, my thoughts with Dark Souls was like, the game's hard. I'm not interested. But, yeah, it's one of those things for me. But it's also, like I said, just kind of funny that in the terms of the past 10 years, both my opinions of both things, basically, opinions of Skyrim has gone down, opinions of Dark Souls has gone up. But yeah, it's... Again, I'm not going to get like into detail because there's tons of people that have gone into detail about Skyrim and go into detail about why Skyrim is whatever, and I'm not going to get into that. But basically, all I'll say is that there's good stuff there. There's some not great stuff, but most games are like that. But yeah, it's one of those. It's just one of those things for me. I don't know. I feel like this basically now this video is a completely rambly thing. It wasn't really my intention to do that, but yeah, I still, I enjoyed Skyrim for what it was. It's just, it's not something I want to really play anymore. Because I have other things I want to play. Other things that are interesting to me, and I just enjoy those more. But yeah, it's also, since then I've played, speaking of those style of games, I've played like Fallout. Got interested in the Fallout series. But again, it's one of those things of, I really like New Vegas a lot. New Vegas was the game that I was like, Fallout can be really cool for me. It's just one problem with that. I never really got into 3. I beat 3. I did all the stuff in 3, but 3's not really a game that I go back to. Not really that, I'm not saying that 3 is a bad game again. It's just, I beat it. I was like, yeah, I can live with not playing it again. But in Vegas, it just kind of clicks with me. There's just things for me that just when they click, they click and stick, basically. Kind of like how Dishonored was for me. That game just clicks. And I still play it, still love it. And yeah. But Skyrim, I guess I just got burnt out. Again, I know mods, but that's, I don't know. But I've also, speaking of more Elder Scrolls, I have played Elder Scrolls Online. I'm not really a big MMO guy, but I admittedly like being able to go to Black Marsh, because I do like playing as an Argonian, and going to Black Marsh was kind of cool. So, there's that. But, it's just, games are cool. Games are cool. They're fun. That's why I stream them. A lot of games I'm looking forward to. That's another thing. This is like noticing how my tastes have changed. Basically, just Elder Scrolls 6 isn't really on my radar in terms of games I'm excited for. Again, they haven't really given me any reason to be excited, so there's that. But I am curious about what they will do with it, though. Because after Skyrim was basically all done, the whole theory crafting and theorizing what the next game was going to be was a thing. It was pretty fun for a while, then it just kind of got like, But, yeah. And I've gotten into more indie games since then. 2012 was another, Dishonored obviously came out that year. Journey came out that year. 2 games that kind of opened up things for me. Yeah. Like I said, this video is basically me just talking about me and how my thoughts and tastes have changed on things, and I hope it's not too whatever, but yeah, that's kind of it, really. Again, happy 10th anniversary to Skyrim. It's been an interesting 10 years since then. Game industry, games in general, people's thoughts about games, the popularity of games now. But, yeah, so I think that's really about all I wanted to say, and again, sorry for just kind of rambling here, but I just kind of wanted to make something for the 10th anniversary for Skyrim. More as this is who I am as a game player. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy. If you'd like, you can like, comment, subscribe if you want. Also, it'd be really cool if you followed on Twitch, because that's where I mostly do stuff. Same name. as this channel, so should have a link to it. So yeah, so that's about it. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and as always, thank you for being awesome. And until next time.